Hello everybody and welcome to the very first episode of RAÍZ. My name is Derek, also known as Kalexico. You guys might know me from online or from my previous content under Tlatel. I've been thinking a lot about how to start this podcast, and I realized that the most honest thing I could do is start this with somebody that I truly trust. Someone who's seen me evolve, challenged my thinking, and has grown alongside me. Today, I'm going to be sitting down with my very, very beloved partner, Kiara Barcenas. She's a YouTuber, a clear thinker, a creative, and someone that's not been afraid to question the world around her. Kiara, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be the first guest on your podcast. Muchas gracias, mi amor.
Sí, mi diosa.
I just wanted to say that I'm super duper proud of you for starting this. It's been such a long journey. You've been talking about this for so long. I'm super duper excited for this and to see where this all goes. I'm really proud of you, and yo te amo.
Yo te amo, mi diosa. Muchas gracias. All right, so we're going to start off with the first segment, and that's going to be titled, Why We Create. Why do we create? Why do you create?
Well, I think for me, I've always been a creative person. If we're talking about specifically about my content, okay, so let me go back. I've always been a creative person, and I've always had a love for the singing and dancing and, painting and drawing, anything artistic. I love. I create just because I guess it's just, I don't know if it's just in me like that, or I've always just been this kind of person to want to create. I do consider myself a very creative person, but when it came to content creating, I definitely found myself, I was in a place of life where I found myself not knowing how to show up artistically. I was in kind of a sticky place with myself and my identity, and I was looking for a way to express myself, but also to challenge myself, because I feel like I had moved away from the way that I was expressing myself for so many years and for so long. And because I wanted to not go back to that, I wanted to find something else to challenge me, learn something new, dive into a world that I knew nothing about.
Yeah.
So that's one of the foundational reasons as to why I started creating as a YouTuber specifically. And
So let me get that understood. You're not just in the realms of YouTube, but an artist overall.
I just said that, yeah. I guess I consider myself an artist, yeah. I kind of think we're all our own artists in a way, but I was definitely involved in the world of performing.
What's the real drive behind showing up online, being so visible, being so vulnerable, even when it's uncomfortable?
Well, the initial drive, like I said, started off with challenging myself to do something I haven't done before artistically, finding a new way to express myself in a creative way, learning how to edit, learning how to, find my lighting, be your own makeup artist, set crew, everything, costume design, you name it, you're it. So, that was definitely a challenge for me. So I started off wanting to challenge myself, but I can definitely say that it was, you asked about the drive, right?
Yeah, like regardless of criticism or just the uncomfortable moments, because we've both been there. It's a moment where things seem to be stacked against you. It's the hero's journey, and you're facing all the trial and error, and you're in the depths of it, and there's no light at the end of the tunnel. What keeps you going?
What keeps me going is my internal goals, things that I might not necessarily, I think it's obvious as creators, like anyone who's on this platform that really wants to make something of themselves. I think we all have a common goal, grow your channel, scale it, see what you can turn into as a brand or even a business person. But for me, it's my internal goals and not so much of what is projected outside. So for example, how I want to provide and show up as a future mother and a future wife. How that's one of my drives, being able to provide for my family in such a way, but in a way that I'm producing something that's flowing authentically and artistically from me, not just because, again, I don't think any of us were meant to be in this redundant, mundane lifestyle of, 9 to 5, especially not for people who are truly artistic and really want to express that. So my internal goals, or maybe not internal is not the right word, but a little bit more my personal goals, goals of I want to be a mother who's able to provide, a wife who's able to provide and share that duty. And also showing up and being an example as I grow as a young woman, being the example that I never had, seeing someone that looks like me, making videos in Spanish. I guess just trying to be the example that I always wanted as a little girl.
Sí. Qué bonito, how beautiful. So about Spanish, I know that you're highly abundant. Like there's not a single niche to you. There's not a topic that you can brand you with, and that's admirable, right? Especially for people like me that have like more specific things and more specific structure to things. Like I'm gardening and things, but I admire how creative you are and how you go out of the box and you think outside the box and you do things that nobody's really. Like I didn't expect to go from here to there when it comes to the content that you created, but all I know is that I was along for the ride and I enjoyed every single bit of it, and I saw you grow. So somehow you're bringing us along to your personal journey, and I can really admire that. What are some of the things, like I said, uncomfortability? What are some of the things, or some of the biggest obstacles that you faced so far?
Besides my computer crashing on me, and like the biggest challenge. Even though a part of me really wants to say, like my mind wants to say, oh, learning an entire new skill, editing, and learning about the importance of managing your computer and all of the equipment that you need. But I feel like anyone can Google that and figure that out. You can go on YouTube University and figure it out for yourself. But the one thing that I can even say I still struggle with a little bit, if I'm being honest, is self-doubt and not believing in myself, because it's so easy once you get on a platform that people are either still kind of side-eyeing, because in a way, even though our generation knows what YouTube has become, what it's been, and how long it's actually been around, but it's still very much frowned upon, and it's still very much side-eyed and still very much not taken seriously as even just an entrepreneurial way to express someone's self. It's very much, I mean, it's grown, it's come a long way. So I can't say that the entire world is there, but that was one of the challenges of, in taking a lot of the opinions of people that I've heard.
I see.
And then internalizing, and then that fueling my self-doubt, because you're going to have moments of doubt, whether it's you're learning a new skill, you're completely new to this. I don't know how to work a camera. I don't know how to make myself sound good, look good. I feel I don't look good talking to a camera. So you're already learning how to do it another skill entirely. So that's one thing to get you start doubting yourself. But then it's really about how much you can focus on your lane, stay in your lane and focus on that, and really not worry about what other people have to say. It's way easier said than done, but definitely that's something that I, to this day, still kind of struggle with. It's just self-doubt.
I don't think it's anything you're uncomfortable with. Being your partner, like I see you surpassing whatever expectations even, that people around us, around our circle put on you. And it's not like you chose the easiest platform. Like I think you went for the top, the top titan. You could have chose from things like TikTok. You could have chose. That's a talk mess on anyone, right? But you could have definitely chose an easier path. Let's say TikTok, Instagram, being an influencer in that sense. But like you said, and you mentioned at the earlier stages of things, like you had to learn how to edit. You had to learn how to produce and build a community. And not only that, but I saw that you created a video about some of the reasons why you left social media, and not having, that play a role in it. It's insane. Like, I just want to add, like, you're insane for doing that. But you and I both, I guess, because, we both took that journey together. And I think that, like I said, it's one of the hardest platforms that we're on. So I totally see what you're saying when it comes to the editing and learning how to do everything, technological wise. But when it comes to self-doubt, you chose the hardest platform. So it's, pretty self-explanatory why there's a lot of self-doubt. It's such a wide and humongous platform, all sorts of contents. And you are actually, if there's anything, if there's a green side to this, and grass that's green, it's that I think that you're one of the only people that look like you do and have that specific spot that you do in the things that you do. It's like you're unique. There's no one else like you. It's just your personality. That's what I'm saying. You brought us along for the journey. And I think that I'm not necessarily there for, let's say, whatever it might be that obviously I love what you're doing, and when I see a title, you're just like, she's doing that, wow, that's crazy. But I'm there for you for the personality. I think that's what's really selling, is who you are and the authenticity. I think that what you're selling is authenticity.
So thank you so much for saying that. And I feel like I need to hear that a little bit more, but coming from, at least from myself, my own self-talk, but coming from you, that means like the world. So, thank you.
Of course. All right. Segmento 2. Thinking for yourself. Pensando por ti misma.
I want to go back to that. I want to go back to what you said just a little bit about, not choosing kind of a very intimidating platform. I've never pursued any of the other platforms, so I really don't know what it's like to work on those platforms in such a way to grow and scale something. I think I had eyes on like maybe Instagram at some point, and I realized that this wasn't really feeding, the artistic drive and reason why I showed up. I mean, it was there, and even in my video where I talk about how I left the platform, I just found myself chasing in this rabbit hole of like, oh, should I be on here? Which one's going to go up? Which is going to blow up? But just to say that, like, I've never experienced those platforms, and I don't want people to think that this is a place where you can't thrive. Like, there's room for everybody, basically, because on this YouTube platform, I don't want people to think that, like, oh, like they said it themselves, it's so hard. It's like, no. You can totally do it. You can totally do whatever you say you're going to do. It's possible.
Would you agree with me when I say, like, it opens up doors? Like, if you're willing to put in that extra effort, it opens up doors
many. It
opens up so many doors. You can be much more creative. You can be so much yourself. Mm-hmm. It's literally like, imagine having a canvas. You have, or a whiteboard. A small little whiteboard that you put up on your wall versus one that a teacher has in their classroom. It's humongous, and you have so much space to work with. It's completely insane. And to get into the psychology behind the effects of social media, like, we are all aware, and I think we're now in a day and age where people are more aware of that than ever before. And so I know that that's some of what the things that you mentioned, why you left social media, and it's, the strikes in the hurt that it has on the self-esteem and in someone's mental health and things of that sort. I also found that being on YouTube and just simply being on YouTube, now that you have things like the YouTube Studio and community tabs, and you can literally have almost everything that people are using as excuses on things like Instagram and Snapchat and TikTok. Like, I'm here because of this. Like, no. But you could have done that on YouTube, on the community tab.
Thankfully now, because I remember I think, again, our generation has watched YouTube evolve. So I'm just grateful that I came in at a time where all of this was available to me. Because if it wasn't, I would be freaking out on how to stay, in tune with my audience, how to get feedback, how to stay up to date with them, and not having to just upload a video by to say. But I love you can do polls, you can do, like you said, just about anything. Make a short, which is equivalent to a reel or a TikTok. I mean, some might throw fit out there and be like, no, it's not. But it's short form content. So I'm just grateful that we came on a platform at the time where these resources were accessible, because I can't even say that was an option 5 years ago. Like, I don't think it was.
Hey, talking about that, I'll show you part of my story. When I started YouTube, I was barely walking almost. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but I was maybe 6-8 years old when I had I had my parents' phone, and I was recording Growtopia, which is like this 2D. Remember I showed you that video game, Growtopia, and it's like this 2D Minecraft version of things. And you know what I did? I still have the video on my playlist. Back in the day, tripods were rare. Like, unless you were a videographer, a photographer, even tripods were rare. I'm not saying they were the most expensive things and whatnot, but people weren't walking around vlogging like you see on Joey B. Tunes nowadays, right? So I searched up, how can I make a tripod to record my TV screen? Because I had a TV screen on the wall, on a mount. And I was like, how can I record that? And there's something called a video graphics card. I think that's what it's called, where you record the screen. Or no, you connect it to the PlayStation. It's a screen recorder. Yeah, but it's external. And it used to be external. So I had my little PlayStation. I'm like, how can I record this? Oh, that's too expensive. I can't ask my dad for that. So I grabbed the little toilet paper roll. My parents were like, where all the toilet paper at? ¿Dónde está todo el papel? ¿Estás loco? ¿Dónde te lo llevaste? Not to mention the pranks I played on them, where I would grab the toilet paper roll and I would wet it and I would squeeze it with the fist and I would just like a stress ball and it looks like a turd. If you want to prank anyone, that's what you do. You grab yourself a little cardboard thing like the ones you have on the big napkins or just the toilet paper, wet it, soak it for a little while, squish it, and then just squish that thing and put it somewhere. Put it on someone's pillow. If they have a dog, put it on someone's bed. Put it on the toilet on the bottom. Someone's going to think the turd fell out. But anyways, let me get back to it. That toilet paper roll, about yay big. What you want to do is you want to cut out about
like a sliver, on
both sides, and you can put your phone right there.
You did it. You made the first tripod. Well, not you made the first tripod.
Yeah, but I was trying.
You made your first tripod.
Yeah, and you would have to angle it, but the cardboard don't weigh nothing. You have to tape the bottom to a shoe box or something like that, and you would put the phone and you're recording. Now you're playing video games, you're recording it. So
that's so cool.
Back in the day, it was a different thing.
You really had to make it work.
You really had to make it work.
I will say, I think. I mean, I don't know the prices of everything, but I feel like things in a way have become a little bit more affordable, because once upon a time, to this day, equipment can be really expensive, especially if it's camera, like depending on what it is that you're actually trying to buy, it can be really expensive. But I'm sure because things weren't as popular, there was no deals, there was no offers, there was no and if you buy this, you get the mic and I don't know, a speaker with it on discount. I think it might have been a little more pricey. And then back in the day, because everyone didn't have it, we all had to be so creative. But that's kudos to you. You've actually been in the game a lot longer than I have. So
the technological advancement in YouTube, like you mentioned, I'm glad I came around a time where you had things like community tabs and shorts. Mm-hmm. None of those things were around.
No, none of them.
Not a single one of those things. When you wanted to scale a YouTube channel, you had nothing but your videos.
Yes.
Just videos, long form videos, and all the vertical videos, because everyone was on the phones. They didn't know how to, you would have people young people like us, or now our old people, they wouldn't record videos they would record it like that. And so when you upload the video, it would be 1080p or 720p. I mean, we started with 480p, the 320p. It was that bad resolution, and people would upload those videos that had the black bars and everything. It was crazy.
We've come a long way.
And then TikTok came around. I mean, Musically, and then no, it was Vine.
It was Vine, and then Musically, and then Musically rebranded to TikTok.
Yeah.
And Instagram came in there somewhere, Snapchat's in there, so we all know the order. But. Yeah.
And I like that we're talking from a place of experience. I'm not trying to just, give the stiff arm to these things. I mean, I was susceptible to those things, and I made those mistakes. Yeah. I went to those things. I was on Vine, for God's sake, you know? I'm not just talking from this privileged place, oh, you're so lucky because you never had to do those things. No, I tried it.
No, I understand. Some people have made all their success about those, with those apps and trends at the time. But again, I think it's also being able to move and change with the times. And I think that's just part of being an artist. You have to adapt and change and evolve. Just as a human, you have to adapt, change, and evolve. Yeah. And so if you don't flow with the times, if you're not hopping on either one of these platforms for your business, choosing one or choosing multiple, then you are going to get left behind. There was a time where people were still relying on just their business card to get people to recognize their business. And it's you have to move online, get any kind, a Facebook page, something to advertise, a website.
MySpace.
MySpace.
Still a thing.
No, that's not a thing. That fell off. That was even. It wasn't before our time, but as social media was coming up, that fell off. But even people had to adapt to, okay, I have to make a website now. I never had to make a website to show people my business. It was just my business card and the local area in the town, and it was word of mouth. And I know word of mouth is some of the best, I guess, soliciting and marketing, but we have definitely come a long way. So I see how with the evolution of, social media, or the evolution of just the internet in general, it's carried some people, but you definitely kind of have to go where the evolution is taking you. And I feel like YouTube has become very much revolutionary for that.
What was one of the first places, or what was one of the first things that you created? First films, first video that you edited, recorded yourself, or something
I
like
remember, okay, so published or...
Yeah, something that you recorded and published.
My first video recording, okay, so my very, very first video that I recorded and published was of me by a river. And I'm not even in the video, but I recorded the river. It was such a beautiful day, beautiful scenery. I was like, I have to capture this. And I think I was just trying to get the gist of uploading to YouTube. So I was like, how do you upload? How do you, how do you upload? And I was like, just practicing. I was like, well, it can't hurt. It was like a 30-second, maybe like a minute clip of just this river running.
What got you into that?
I think...
Was it San Antonio?
I put
a camera in your face.
It was San Antonio. It was San Antonio. But actually, I don't know if you even know this, actually. So right before I met you, I had been on a podcast.
Really?
In Houston, yes. We were on a podcast, my sisters and I, after a modeling thing that we had did. And we were on this podcast, we were talking about it, and they were like, at the end of the podcast, this is off air, he was like, I think you'd be really good in media. Like, you should do a podcast yourself. You didn't freeze up. You were so good. You had the right questions. And I was like, okay, cool. And I was already looking for something to do, like with myself and like outside of the job that I had currently had. And I deleted it all now. I wish I kept some of it. But
what was it?
It was Google Docs of my first podcast. Ooh. And my second video, not the first, so I had that little nature video on my channel, but the second video of why I didn't go to college, which was kind of like my first video of me, was going to be my first podcast subject.
Okay, was that before or after we published our first Tribu Barcenas video?
That was way before. That was like maybe
when did we upload our first Tribu Barcenas video? I could have sworn that was before you had uploaded anything.
It was before I had uploaded anything.
Anything, right?
But that's my first video of my face that I don't know why I didn't know why I didn't go to college. That was already in the works in my mind. Because I had that podcast thing. So it was so easy for me to just like, oh, I have a script to why I didn't go to college. And I might have kept that one thing because I was like detailing like so many different topics. Did you use that
script for the video?
I think I did. Because I script out all my videos. I try to write out ideas, bullet point, with the points I want to make.
So you used the old script that you had for that video?
Yeah. And I revised it.
That's a way to recycle stuff. Yeah, that's good.
But everything else I had chunked. So like all my podcast ideas, like, because I had wrote so many things. But that was the one that I had kept. I was like, no, I really want to talk about this. Like, I don't know where I'm going to put this. I don't know what I'm going to do with this. Like, I want to put this somewhere. And so I kept that one because it was also like, I felt the best that I had written. So I don't know if I still have it.
You helped edit that river video that we have on Tribu Barcenas though, right? You helped edit and film it too.
I did.
Wait, did you say that was before you uploaded anything, or did we do that video and upload that first, and then I think you started doing your YouTube channel afterwards, right?
Well, so you had asked what?
Because I just like the progress of creating that video. Was that before or after you first started uploading your actual videos about your face?
Well, the progress. Talking? Well, you had asked me when was my first official upload, and like what was in the works prior to that, and I was like, it's crazy because the inspiration for my first video came from a podcast idea that I had about starting a podcast a long time ago. But the guts it took to actually upload, edit, and do that, and the skill came from Tribu Barcenas and what we were doing, because I learned the editing from there. And I was like, oh, let me record a video, because I didn't have a camera. I think I was gonna use my phone. I started off using my phone. I was like, I'm just gonna use my phone because I remember you tried to get me to use the camera even in San Antonio, and I was like, no, phone. Let me use my phone. And so for the longest, I was gonna make that first video on my phone. But then I was still always nervous.
I even tried to teach you how to edit and everything.
Yeah, no, you did. You did teach me how to edit.
You didn't like it though, huh?
I didn't like it at first. No, I was like, this is too complicated. I need something simpler. iMovie, something simpler. But then I just...
You didn't even believe in using a camera. Like I would give you the camera. I'm like, this is how you make YouTube videos. You're like, no, that's not how people make YouTube videos on their phone, vertical. And I'm like, I was like, yes, but that's different. Like the video comes out way different with black bars and things like that.
I was also in a point where, or we were at the very beginning of our relationship, and I was still hesitant to ask for things. Like I didn't want to ask for the camera. I didn't know anything about it. So I was like, instead of wasting my time and my momentum, like the mental momentum that it takes to like get yourself to just jump and go, I didn't want to waste that time. I was like, I'm here. Jump. Yeah. Jump. I didn't want to waste that time. So I was like, no, I just need to do something what I'm familiar with. And I'm going to work with what I'm familiar with. And if it just means I take this video footage from my phone and move it to his desktop and edit it, then that's fine. Because I had no editing software on the computer that I had. It was like, I couldn't even put anything on that computer if I wanted to. So it was like, let me just work with what I know. I don't want to, and I was also like afraid of breaking it. I was like, I really haven't messed with this enough to know what I'm doing. And
was the reason why you started to create because there was such a challenge behind it? Because I see that you're inclined to follow and pursue challenging things for some reason. I think that's your personality. It's like I think it was you definitely. Was it something that was challenging in that it was something? Was it attractive? Was it more attractive because it was challenging?
Yes. I was definitely very bored with, I guess, just like my artistic life. So like, I was like, I want to express myself. It's been dormant. It had been about 5-6 years since I had left school. So, and I was like, I need to do something. I have an itch and it needs to be scratched. Like I need to do something challenging. And I had been active and busy trying things, dabbling in certain things, of course, just off camera, behind the scenes, not on my YouTube channel. But I was, dabbling in things. Like I said, I wanted to do a podcast. I did modeling for a while. And,
were you surprised when we did our first, I'm like, we're going to vlog this? And
it wasn't until we got back and I started looking at the footage. I was like, this is actually something. Like, oh, I see it now. Like, I see how you piece these events together, how you, the first step is remembering that you're vlogging because it's so easy to forget and to document whenever you're just, doing things. But I saw the power in it, or just at least how to do it, because I kind of felt like with everything that I attempted, I was stuck in the tyranny of how. I was like, I don't know how.
I told you, I'm gonna show you how.
Yeah.
We're gonna go to we're gonna go on a hike, and I'm gonna show you how to film. Mm-hmm. We're gonna film you. Mm-hmm. We're gonna sit, and then you gave the ideas. You're like, what are we gonna film? Like, we're just gonna go for a hike. It's called a vlog. Yeah. And you're like, well, we can talk about something. I'm like, what do you want to talk about? You're like, how about when we met? I'm like, whoa. Don't you think that's a little bit too private? Usually on YouTube, I like to play this more private sense, right, of myself. And you're like, no, we can talk about those things.
Well, we attempted to.
And we did it, though.
Did we? Because
it was successful. We stole the story. We took them along. It was creative. We put memes. I was like, we're going to put funny stuff in there. And every time I would put like a beam or a sound effect, you're like, no.
No, wasn't it?
You didn't like the editing. You did not like editing at first.
Beyond that one, was that the spider one? Mm-hmm. Because I was thinking, I don't know if we even finished the story. Remember, we were in the middle of it, and then I see the spider, and I'm like, oh my God.
We have to talk about that for sure.
But
here on the podcast.
Like, that's what I'll say. I was like, I don't even think we finished that story. That would be like an entirely new podcast episode.
Yeah.
Of your channel, my channel, thing like that. So I was like, I don't even think we got through the how we met story, because the spider, I got too afraid of the spider.
Well, throughout all those things, and throughout our coming together and merging and bringing and collaborating both of our artistic qualities, you came with the prior musical background, and I came from this videographer, content creative background. You were a performer. I was a producer. I was a creator in that sense. I saw how we both merged and came together in that sense, and we taught each other the ropes to things. You've definitely helped me come a long way, helped me to think for myself, and I think that you've always had your own mind. You read, you ask all the right questions, and you listen so thoroughly. What helped shape that mindset of yours? And how do you deal with people online or off who expect for you to stay the same?
Well, I definitely think that I have a growth mindset, a definitely very driven growth mindset. To answer that question, the first part of your question was definitely my battles with my health. I think that's what brought a level of persistence and determination. I struggle with my health for the majority of my childhood and young adult life. I'm still a young adult, but and I struggle with that. And it was something I always had to push through and get through. There was always challenges with my diet and figuring out what was wrong. So it was kind of like this obstacle that always stood in my way. And it gets in the and I feel like of any other obstacle, I'm not at all belittling any obstacle outside of this, but your health is something that really, I guess, something that you can't ignore, or something that really humbles you really quickly, and something that you realize very quickly, whether you're young or you're old, whenever it hits you or happens to you, that you can't thrive without it. You really can't really reach it. It can inspire you, it can detour you, it can teach you lessons, but I just learned that putting my health last wasn't going to be the answer. So persevering and trying to find solutions for the health issues that I had, I think that's what kept and actually birthed the growth mindset. Like, I have to keep going. I need to learn something new to figure this out. So that's what kind of made me, like, I guess, a little learning bug by nature. As for the second part of the question,
how do you deal with people? Like I said, it doesn't matter if they're online commenting, those trolls, those Reddit trolls, or if they're in person. People that just see you and make the judgment, you're going to stay the same, that expect for you to stay the same and make no change. How do you deal with all of that?
Well, at first, if I'm truly honest, at first, it was definitely very hard. Very, very hard. I used to think that I didn't care about what people thought until I started doing this. And it really put me in check and was like, no, you care. Like, you really care what people think. And there's no hiding that. There's nothing wrong. We all care to a certain extent. And there's actually a healthy, balanced way of caring what people think. But I didn't realize the extent of just how much I truly care what people thought, especially in my inner circle and the people around me. I think it's easy to maybe brush off a stranger. But then I think what hits you harder the most is when it's like almost printed underneath your work, your art, your content. It's printed there. And so you feel like it's not just in a museum where someone can just walk, have their own opinions in here or say it out loud and it's gone. It's like, no, that's under my video.
Yeah.
And I can't remove everything that I don't like. You know,
especially in today's society where media is so washed out and it's so excessively violent. Like things are so excessively violent. You open up doors, like we were saying, and you don't know what's behind the door.
Yeah.
People could be judging you, have violent intent for you, and that's just part of what we do. Then I guess, right?
But how I deal with it, well, right now, by taking your advice and just not even reading the comments, paying attention to the comments, at least for my YouTube channel, how I deal with it. I'm still working on this as far as comparison and knowing my own worth. I think I'm a lot closer than I think. But for creating my content specifically, staying extremely focused, reminding yourself of your personal goals, not just your business goals or your channel goals, because it's very numerical when it comes to the channel goals.
Yeah.
Very, very numerical. If you're not just focused on just the art of it alone, it's going to get very numerical, and it's hard for you to ignore those numbers. You don't want to ignore those numbers. There's nothing wrong with not ignoring those numbers. at the same time, I think the main focus is not just my personal goals, but the art,
Right.
the art behind it. Like I really want to start creating more cinematic content, learning how to get visuals,
Right.
better visuals. That is an art in itself. So
Right.
really diving into learning that takes the entire focus about what people have to say, because you're like, look, I'm not here for what you have to say. I'm here to advance my skill and my craft. If you
Yeah.
like it, then stay. If not, then go find someone else that suits you better.
Very
so
right.
really, really focusing. And it's hard. It's really hard because you want to engage and see what your peers are doing, or even just cheering people on. But then it's so easy to go look at their views and their numbers and how long they've been around and how long they've been doing it. And it's so easy to start comparing yourself. So an advice that I've recently been taking was yours, and just not reading the comments at all, not engaging in that. Staying connected through community tab.
Right.
So engagement's a little bit more off the art. So you're not looking at your video and being like, oh, this is what everyone's saying about me, but that community tab alone just
it's actually requested per post. Like you can have a poll. Exactly. It's more specific.
Exactly. And so you're getting to the point and no one's really grading it there. Right. Even though I've had some people say certain things there as well, but just extreme focus. That's what's helping. And then for people who, to answer the, I think, third question you asked, people who are naysayers and people who you thought were maybe in your corner or expecting me to stay the same and do, the traditional thing in life. It was hard, but realizing that I think that is more about being secure in someone else's self.
Yeah.
Being secure in your own self and knowing that this is my journey. Like you say, you use the hero's journey a lot. Mm-hmm. And so I guess applying that to my life, the hero's journey, and then also
friends, ally, foes, trials and errors. Yeah, all that good stuff.
And realizing that, I guess for me, I wanted to feel confident for me, because I also had the big epiphany. I was like, I really care what people think. And it's bad. It was to a crippling point where I was like, well, I don't want to post anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't even want to show up because people are going to say this. I'm becoming a public figure, regardless of the number of subscribers that I have. And so I was like, I care. Even if it's just my family, I'm starting to care. And it really started getting to me. So one of my driving forces was I don't want to care this much anymore. I want to be able to create and live my life as the woman that I'm becoming authentically, and really practice the skill of not caring about every single opinion in the world. So really just mastering that skill was my driving force to get out of the comparison or just listening to other people's opinion more than my own voice. Right. So that was definitely it.
I like that. And just how there's constraints when it comes listigically or platform wise, like YouTube might want you to be this certain person or only see this certain part of you, put you in a niche, shadow ban you, let's not say the word, things like that, where you need to fit in one place and you can't step out of that place, right? I feel like the same thing applies towards relationships in a sense, where it's constraints, right? And it's the matrix and you're in this box, and that's the whole thing. The thing is that people don't want to see you change, and neither does the algorithm. And so for the ones that missed our transition, that was the end of segment 2, titled Thinking for Yourself. Now that's a perfect transition into our third segment, which is the relationship reality check. We've been through a lot together and we've kept it real. So real. What do you think makes a relationship work in real life? Not just aesthetically or online, but deeply.
You had to ask that question. It's such a deep question. Or I wouldn't say deep, but just there's a lot to it.
Deeply, right there. I want it. Like, what do you really think it takes for a relationship to work? And I don't mean like you were just saying about having to show up a certain way. I mean, we're a relationship. We are a couple and we're showing up online. I'm saying like overall in life, when it comes to those relationships that you said you held very dear, online or offline, aesthetic aside, online platform, the presence that we've built aside, what really makes something deep and authentic?
I think between you and your partner, you and your somebody, one, making sure that you're on the same page, that you're in it for the long haul, that basically you're in sync. with each other's desires, or understanding. Maybe you have different desires than your partner, but understanding, clearly communicating that, being radically honest, and ultimately working together and coming together as a couple. I feel like you and I have learned that opening up, not just being honest, because everyone says, oh, communicating is key. And it sounds cliche, but it's true. And in the recent past, as we had done, moving out and basically falling into each other's arms with full trust. And we've learned this past year that is what it's really going to take. And being willing to grow as an individual and as a couple together. Like, one person can't be doing all the work, self-development, and really trying to better themselves to be the person that they need to be for their relationship. It's 100-100. It's not 50-50 and we make the 100. No, it's 100-100 and together we're 200.
Right.
So I think that beyond the radical honesty, beyond just communicating, because you can communicate something all day, but if you're also not listening and understanding and truly showing up and being curious and interested in your partner and their needs and desires, especially when you're starting out, it can definitely get warped and your vision will start to get blurry, or the lens will start to change colors. And next thing you know, you're looking at two completely different lenses as a couple or as a unit. So definitely working together, choosing each other every single day, choosing each other every single day, and loving each other no matter what. And you realize that as you do the self-development to show up to your relationship, that it also attracts you to do the same. Like, I guess it goes in being the
there's
change that you
something
want
to discover
see
there for yourself.
But then it feeds the relationship so much, because then, at least for us, I could say for us that was the case. I can say for us is what worked. It's not a one size fits all. We definitely had our highs and lows, but for us, it was definitely surrendering.
Oh, most definitely.
Surrendering and choosing you every single day, and not just surrendering, just like relinquishing all of control per se, but just simply surrendering into the
to one another, to giving in to one another.
That, and just to the idea of love and unity, because I feel like we are living in a generation where a lot of people are looking against that, or
there's no good examples.
No, not a lot of good examples, or you kind of be like, you're talked about in a certain way and looked at as you're part of this extreme side if you agree to be in one monogamous relationship. So people view you a certain way. You're like, oh, well, I see how it is. People have their opinions and they talk about that. And so I know we're living in an age of extreme. So saying that, I also want to include keeping everyone else outside of your business. So I feel like that's also what's very much necessary in maintaining a relationship and growing a relationship. Because the whole world, I don't care if they're your best friend, your mom, it's more important to get an unbiased view. Unbiased view. And if you have an issue with your spouse, if you have anything wrong, go to them. And that's something that I feel like needs to be said from the rooftops, because I see a lot of people are like, they go to their friends, mostly women, they go to all their friends, and then they dump and they say, oh, like, this is what's going on. And it's like, you're getting all the wrong biased advice. So having healthy guidance outside of the biased surroundings. And I know it's not black and white, but and some people may lean on some of their family members for support. At the same time, I still think it's important to recognize your circle immediately and agree with one another that this is where we work things out, and not bringing the rest of the world in.
I think there should also just be a clear division, which I don't think that there is very much when it comes to the average relationship. When it comes to in moments of trial and error, in moments of hardship, like you said, knowing where to go get that advice. There's such a thing called idiot advice, actually, and then called professional advice. And generally, when you're going for advice just from anyone or from people in your closest circle, that tends to be biased. So I completely see how that could derail, or if not just actually incline you to in a different position, or you're aiming now at the wrong thing, when in reality the goal might be to, or I believe in any relationship, the goal should be to come together and come to an understanding and uphold that relationship, progress forward, and build a future together. That when you go to people where, like I said, there is the term idiot advice, you could be completely misaligned, and it's almost like your crosshairs are now aiming at the wrong direction, and you see how things could be corrupted and so easily. And I think like idiot advice in the sense of social media, or the unrealistic expectations placed upon either the man or the woman, right? And how relationships are nowadays. It's like you said, extreme. And there's these standards, these expectations, and examples of all the wrong things you should be doing.
Yeah, exactly.
All the wrong things
We're living in a time where everyone knows everything. And so people are getting their advice from multiple sources on social media, not professionals, or just, taking in the projections of other people's opinions about relationships as a whole. And it's not a healthy approach to relationships. It doesn't even have to be a romantic relationship. I think it applies to every single relationship, but it is definitely crucial for your romantic relationship. And I think it's something people would definitely need to look out for. And I kind of feel like people, I don't want to say people, I feel I've come across a select few of, a handful of people, I should say, at least in my day-to-day experience, of people who think that it's necessary to keep those opinions in your life. It's necessary to always listen to those things. And there's nothing wrong with being biased. There's nothing wrong. We are all biased. At the same time, I just feel that it's important to also find your own voice in the relationship as well, or else that's also going to break the communication that's there.
Even there has to be a balance. I think there's actually an epidemic of knowingness, of all knowingness. And that's a true, that's actually something that's happening now more than ever before. I mean, there was always the smart aleck, right? In school, they've always been there. You talk to your grandpa about the guy that walked around with such a big head, right? That he fell on his ass, Humpty Dumpty style. But knowingness, the epidemic of knowingness, is that basically before you even ask a question, that person already knows the answer. So it doesn't matter. This is no longer a case of, in a normal situation where someone's just misguided through malinformation. You cannot, even if you provide them the right dictionary, the right sources with the right information, with reality, with that reality check, that won't shift their perspective or change their mind, because they're already so set in those extreme ways. So that's definitely something that we're seeing a lot of nowadays, especially when, like you said, you're young like us. You have other people that are just in that same mess. And if you're going to those people for advice,
Or dealing with doubt, because people project their relationship experiences on you as a young couple. They're like, oh, well, you're young. Like, oh, just wait and see. It's like, why would you say that? Like, why would you... Oh, that's going to come to an end. Like, no, that's your relationship that you're projecting on to us. Don't put that anywhere. And I think, that's also a huge hint on who you should listen to. If it's not positive, I'm not talking about this, like woo-woo positive thinking, nothing can go wrong if I just think positively. No, it's not toxic positivity at all, to really identify who's actually in your corner and wants things to work for you, and not projecting their own relationship experience on you, thinking like, oh, well, that's not gonna work, or you should do this, you should do this, you should do this. And I understand, as young people, we want a lot of guidance, we want a lot of answers to our questions. Like, well, what should I do? We want like the answer to everything right now, especially in our Google information. But it's something that has definitely taught me to lean on not just you, but I could say professional resources or just even finding my own voice and listening to that as well. Because there's a lot of people out there who don't want to see you succeed.
No, it's definitely harder now. No, I think it's easier is what I meant to say. I think it's easier now to find better resources. And even if you grew up in the environment where you had nothing but the wrong examples, nowadays you have things like the internet to help you get better help, you know, or just simply get better resources, get better examples, you know. For example, I think that when it comes to the social media thing that we were talking about earlier, not looking at the comment sections or not holding a place in your mind, in your heart for negativity or just people's judgment or people's generation of whether that's insecurity or pride, a negative sense of pride in yourself where you know, you might be doing something good and there's a cookie and stay there. Yeah. Keep doing what you're doing. And so I admire people like you, like Sam Harris, even Joe Rogan, shout out to him for staying away from comment sections and things of that sort where it's so easy to fall down that down spiral and start to identify yourself. We're already so chaotic in the mind. We're already so identified by thought with our thoughts. Just to top on top of that, a little bit of seasoning, a little bit of you know, red spice and the negativity, people's judgment and people's perspective about you. And then you start thinking differently about yourself. And so exactly what you're saying is like, why are you coming to me and proposing your experience on me, thinking that I must have it bad because you have it bad, right? Just because you have it bad does not mean I have it bad. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. They'll take that one struggle that they see, that one little weak spot, and then apply pressure to it in the relationship. But it is also thanks to you as to why I was able to come out of that grip of, you know, biased opinions or people trying to lash out or I guess you could say bring us down in such a way that wasn't so supportive. I have to give a lot of thanks and credit to you because you helped me through that whole transition and trying to find ourselves as a couple. So, muchas gracias.
Yeah. On that topic, to leave it off on a better note, I think that my advice for all the couples out there is practice gratitude. Practice gratitude, an immense amount, religiously. I mean, that has to be something that is put into your routine, without a doubt. Practice gratitude because, like you said, the putting down or the examples or the standards, the extreme version of things, the things that are promoted nowadays when it comes to the realms of relationships. So like I was saying, I'm sorry about the interruption there. Had a little glitch, recording error. But like I was saying, practicing gratitude, I think that's an extremely important thing to do or to learn to do. Just simply, you know, speaking off of the basis of the nature of the human, the neuroticism or all of the things that come with just simply growing up in an environment like, from my perspective, I'd rather speak. I'm not sure about other people's mind, but from what I've heard and from what I've learned from psychology and things like meditation, it's that everyone's mind is chaotic. If you just sit down and you listen to your brain, you'll notice it's utterly out of control. Yeah. So knowing the basis of the mind and knowing the nature of the human, knowing the nature of the man and or the woman, the mind is out of control. And so, you know, learning to practice gratitude is definitely immensely helpful. Yeah. And I think that focusing more on the good things that person is doing rather than the bad things, just simply because let's say your man leaves books stacked up to the high, you know, up to yay high every single day. And you tell him, hey, put them away. There has to be a willingness to work towards those things. Don't get me wrong. That's definitely something necessary for that man to, you know, own up to whatever it is, their mess, their side, right? Provide you with your boundaries and et cetera. But I genuinely think that if that man didn't do what he did, he would not be the man that you love. There's like these little things that you can be so focused on, the negative things that they do, that will trip you up in your relationship if that's all you run through your head. But practicing gratitude, it definitely mellows, and in a way it tames your sense of ego.
So to piggyback off of what you were saying, I think it was more about changing your expectations for appreciation, right? So it's not to say like, oh, ignore every red flag and every toxic trait that your partner has. No, I think it's more about not just appreciating what you have built and what you have and the good in that person. Because again, like you said, we're neurotically wired human beings. And so we're always gonna be looking for what's wrong. Like our minds are not built to be happy, but to survive and to look for what's wrong. So as you grow more comfortable in your new emotional home or just, physical home with your significant other, you're going to start noticing things that bother you. And I think that's just what the mind's job is. And I'm not excusing that neuroticism. It's definitely up to us to find a balance within that. But just changing the expectations, because I feel like expectations is what really creates a rigid life and what destroys how we feel about everything. Like, well, I was expecting the movie to be great and it wasn't. So now I had a really bad movie night, all those kinds of things. And we do that with people as well, outside of the things that we do. So I think just taking the pressure and having grace and gratitude with your significant other, and that'll definitely, I know it has worked for me and for us. So I think that's a good way to, I guess, what am I trying to say? Pitch and catch that.
Yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and move to segment 4, titled Choosing a Different Life. We talked about building something different, buying land, creating a homestead, being self-sufficient. What is driving that vision for you? And what advice do you have for people that feel stuck or feels afraid?
Well, what's driving the vision for me
a different
and for
life.
us, and to create maybe a not so traditional life from at least the backgrounds that we come from, is I want our future kids to have better than what you and I both had. I think about our unborn children a lot, and just providing them that connection with nature, that connection with self, that connection with community, that connection with their innate nature that gets shut down at a young age, or in all of us that goes dormant after a while because society, is always telling you to be something that you're not, or force you to be someone and change yourself and conform. I want to be able to provide a lifestyle where they don't have to worry about those things. They don't have to, and I'm not saying you can shelter your children from every single little thing, no, but if I could provide them a better environment, a more safe environment, one that helps them stay connected to the earth and nature, because I definitely feel like with technology and everything coming out, we're being pulled away from those things. So a place where they can, maintain a playground and an innocent mind, rather than being exposed to certain things based off of the places you live, and inevitably seeing things that change you forever as a human being. Yeah. So that's definitely one of my biggest drives for the future of the type of lifestyle that we aim to live. So our future children, definitely giving them a beautiful home. What was the next question?
What would you say to someone that wants to break free but feels afraid, that feels stuck?
Well, to anyone who feels stuck or feeling afraid, don't wait until that fear goes away. It's not. You're not going to, I know it's not what you wanted to hear. You're not going to feel good at the beginning. You're going to suck a lot. You're not going to know what you're doing. You're not going to be good at the beginning. You're not going to know what you're doing. You have to get okay with being uncomfortable. Get okay with starting while no one is watching, while there's no praise, while there's no views, while there's people hating on you, and it's definitely easier said than done. but you're going to have to just go for it. You're not going to build momentum by sitting on the sidelines and watching everybody else run by. You have to go for it. And then you're going to get your momentum. And then you're going to see, okay, this is possible. You're still going to come over some detours and some problems and some things that are going to make you doubt. It's not going to be a pretty process, especially if you're learning something completely new. But definitely just start. Yeah. Don't wait to feel good. Don't wait for that. Don't wait to feel good. Don't wait for that confidence. Don't wait for everything to feel good or for the stars to align or to have all my equipment till I know every single skill. You're gonna learn as you go. You want to learn as you go. Trust the process, but to get out of that stuck point, just start. You will gain clarity by moving. Movement is key.
Yeah, no, same. I guess it's the same human struggle that everybody's story, some point in everyone's story, they face that struggle, the hero's journey. In every single day in mundane life, there's something that you have to overcome. There's little obstacles day to day, having to get over a fearful event that just happened. You almost crashed a car. You need to get home, but you need to get home earlier because your wife's cooking a bomb ass meal. And if you get there a little bit later, then you might get, something coming your way. So just these little things, I guess, these little obstacles, there's never the perfect conditions and there's never that perfect timing. So having the bravery and being brave enough to step out of your comfort zone, step out of the box, and being okay with that discomfort and just going forward with it. It's plain and simple, most definitely. And that's amazing. And I'm sure that we're going to have much great éxito, great, amazing success there in our homestead. And it's going to be amazing. And there's not a day that goes by that I don't think about our children and the life that we want to build for them together. And I'm so glad that we're doing this together. And here's one of the biggest steps for it. RAÍZ. We are setting the roots. We are planting things down. Eso, mero, mi reina. Órale. Qué bonito. Sí. Segmento 5, segment 5. Where do you grow from here? Looking ahead, in your context, in your personal growth, what's something you're working on or rethinking right now?
In terms of personal growth, something that I'm rethinking and working on is showing up as my most authentic self. Because like I said earlier, I struggled with the opinions of others. I recently had a lot of changes in my life, moving out and, things like that forced me to really look within and decide who I was as a woman, a young woman, as an individual, and both in this relationship as well. So something that I'm working on now is, now that I've found a better sense of my identity and who I am, and now being proud of that, is working on just fully showing up and taking up the space, knowing that I'm worthy of that. I used to always shrink myself. So in self-development, along the lines of that, I'm working on just being unapologetically me, showing up and owning it, being confident in that. And it's going to come with time. It just feels new. I don't think it's something that it's a feeling that I dislike. It just feels really new right now. So that's something that I'm working on. Rethinking. I'm rethinking my content. It's not going to be too much of a drastic change. I'm still going to stay true to what I'm doing and the mission statement that I have behind my content. But I'm definitely working on a lot of things that I'm excited to share with you guys. So stay tuned for that. So yeah, that's something I'm just rethinking in the works of processing. So yeah, to answer your question.
Let's go ahead and give our closing thoughts, and let's do this RAÍZ style. This podcast is called RAÍZ for a reason. I'm not here to sell fantasy or fluff. I'm here to ask honest questions and sit with honest answers, even when they're uncomfortable. Having someone in your life who respects that, who wants to grow with you, who wants to question these things with you, that's rare. Lucky to have that in you, Kiara.
Ay, muchas gracias. Thank you so much, mi amor.
Sí, mi reina.
Likewise, I see the same in you. I'm so grateful to have you as my life partner and soon to be husband. So I'm just I'm more than grateful, more than happy to be the luckiest woman in the world and have someone so intelligent and bright and beautiful as you. Thank you so much.
Por supuesto, mi diosa.
Yo te amo.
Yo te amo, mi diosa. Anyone listening, thank you. This podcast won't be about performance. It'll be about roots, about building something real, one conversation at a time. Until next time, think clearly, live intentionally, and stay rooted. Subscribe on YouTube at Kalexico, and make sure to go check out my beloved Kiara Tomás, and check out Kiara Barcenas as well, our merged channel. This is RAÍZ, and we are just getting started.